Hello, folks, and a very warm welcome back to my channel, Finnyfella Trader. I just thought I would do a quick rundown of today's trade. It is Tuesday, the 22nd November 2022. Trade didn't exactly go to plan, but still managed to take a little bit off the market. Feels just a wee bit choppy when I entered, but there's no news today. There's a lot of news regarding the British pound and the US dollar tomorrow, so I'm expecting a big impulse tomorrow, possibly, seeing as there's five candles there, five daily candles. They're small, they're not big, like compared to these big pushes. There's not really much action going on here, so I'm still looking. I'm not saying this is where it's going, but it's just where my heart's telling me it's going to go. Just it makes more sense for me to look for the market to come down in this daily fair value gap, and I can line it up with a fib for those of you like fibs, and you can see I can go to the 0.618, possibly down into the 0.705, which lines up really nice with this daily order block. So we could see that in the coming days, but I'll move it down into the 4 hour anyway. I'll get a wee look, and as you can see, this is still my equilibrium from in this range from here to here on the daily fair value gap. And today I was looking for sells, even though the market's retracing back. Still feel, just using the fib, we've had a tap into the 0.705. It lines up with this 4 hour. I'll just remove this 4 hour order block for an impulse, and I just thought we were maybe going to see it fall off today and into that, but so far no. But I'll move it down into the 1 hour. 1 hour here, you can see there's buy side liquidity here, sell side liquidity here and here. This is just the week high. This is Sunday, Monday high. I don't really count Sunday, but this happened on Monday, so we just marked it as a high, which was taken out. So once that was taken out, on these two candles here closed, just below this order block. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to look for a sell, which is in the New York kill zone, and this is the London kill zone. And I was going to aim for these lows here, but the market hasn't quite come down into that yet. So that's just to give you an idea what I was looking. And also, just to take note, there's a 1 hour fair value gap over here also. And I know it's broke through a little, which is fine. I don't really concern myself with that too much, but we also see one up in here. It's very tight, but it still classifies as fair value gap. And we had the market punch into it and then react off. So when the London took it up this direction, even though it's headed this way, just from the bigger time frames, I just thought, I just feel the sells coming in, and it's basically to do with that daily fair value gap below. I felt that's where the market's headed. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just intraday trading. So taking this down into smaller time frames, this is the week high, which was taken out over here, and also here is the fair value gap, just from this candle's low to this candle's high. And we also have one up in here on the 15 minutes. So if I just mark that out, it'll give you an idea of where I was looking at fair value gaps here and here. This was the two fair value gaps I was interested in, and this order block here. on here. So, excuse me. What ultimately made me look for a sell was after we punched up in that in the New York Hill zone. I moved it down to the 5. This is the Asian range, by the way, so it was taken out. And part of me was thinking, well, expect the Asian range low to be taken out. I expect the market to possibly come back down into the New York midnight, which it did almost to the pip, and maybe start making its way down to the sell side liquidity. So once this run into the fair value gap, and this is also remember the 0.705 on the fib retracement, I decided I'm going to start looking for breaks of structure, and I like doing that down in the one minute. So here we have the New York open, and I just thought maybe this is a Judas swing up to here, and the market broke down. It broke this low here, and it run back up here into a fair value gap. You can just about see in here. I know it didn't quite hit it, but it did come into this order block. So once that happened and this run back up and away again, I decided that this fair value gap in the 1 minute was going to be my entry. And I was going to use this order block as my entry. Not quite up into the fair value gap, but this order block. Plus, I had plenty of headroom above here and here. And if the market decided to, you know, come back and clear this out, it was going to have a wee bit of breathing room. So my idea at the time was, I'll just pull this out a little and explain what I was thinking of at the time. It was very hard to hold. Like, it started off lovely. It was really 2-3 pips drawdown. Yeah, we'll say 3 pips drawdown before it started to take off. And when it started making these lower highs and this lower low and this lower low, I thought, okay, I'm in the race here, I guess. But I don't like holding trades too long, and when they don't move my direction, pretty quickly, I kind of get a wee bit nervous, as I always do. Hopefully, I lose that from time to time. But as you can see, I was holding the trade for, say an hour and a half before I started feeling a bit comfortable again. And what made me more comfortable was once this break of structure was taken out, I decided I was going to take off 80% of my trade whenever it went 1-to-1, so 20 pips. So once it came to about here, I took off about 80% of my trade and I moved my stop loss to entry. Just because I felt it had moved away far enough now for me to move. Oh, excuse me. Just felt that the market had moved far enough away now for me to move my entry, stop loss to entry. And it had already tapped into this fair value gap once, twice, 3 times. And I just felt if it's going to go short, then now is the time it's going to take off short. And I was aiming for these lows over here. I wanted to see them taken out. But I was also nervous about this New York midnight opening. The market likes to react off it, as you can see here and here. So that's what made me think if it goes a 1-to-1, then I'm going to take 80% off and I'll move my stop loss to entry. Now, just to add, I was looking at the DAX and the British pound index currency, and it was gaining strength, and the DAX was getting weaker. So that also played its part in me taking partials and deciding to move my stop loss to entry, because it has to make sense. I'm not the best at fundamentals, and I don't really want to be. It's not something I'm mad interested in. I do quite quite enjoy macroeconomics and understanding how interest rates have an effect in yields and bonds, T-notes, etc. But I just like to leave it simple. Like, so if DAX is going up and British pounds going down, then it makes sense to look for sells in GU and vice versa. So this movement was actually going against what DAX was saying on British Pound Index. So that's what made me ultimately think this is just a bluff, possibly, and we might not see this continue on down. And as you can see to the New York midnight open, just right to the pip, like it exactly reacted off that, and that's what made me really want to move my stop loss to entry then. Bar that, considering how choppy it was in here, and it never really moved with mad intention today, especially with the news coming out tomorrow. I'm glad I took my parcels. I'm glad I decided to do what I done. And people always say, like, you should be willing to hold out and lose your trade if it has to be that way. It has to be that way, and I get that too. But if it's not making sense, if the story's not adding up, then you have to you have to be prepared to change your mind, and not just change your mind on the whim of, oh my god, this movement here, like this spiked up here, like I'm going to close right away. That doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? In my head, if this had a spiked and cleared this, then I probably would have closed then, but it didn't take that out. So that spike in the market to me just told me it was taking out, you know, these highs here, this high and this high and this high, for a bit of liquidity. And also, I must add, I know this section here is very choppy, but you also got to remember that whole section is during the New York lunch break, and the market tends to go like that. It'll move a little bit more on the London close, which would be 12 o'clock New York afternoon time. So I'll just put on my executions here so I'm not bullshitting. As you can see, I entered here on the return of this candle in this for value gap, and I took partials here, once it got to 1-to-1 trade, and then I will shift this over, and you can see where this candle here actually closed me out because I had moved my entry to my stop loss, sorry, to entry, and that's what took me out. So I was happy enough. It's getting late on in the evening here in Ireland, so I don't like holding trades after a certain time. Ideally, I would love to be able to get into the London Open. It's just something I'm still learning. It catches me out from time to time, but I do really like the New York kill zone. It just seems to be able to read it a little bit better, and it gives me more time to think. But I'll just close this off. I will show you my trade today, the 22nd of the 11th. Obviously, that's London time. And that was it. So I took around 75-80% off. I'm up roughly 4.5%. And this little loss here was obviously when I came back to hit my stop loss and entry. So that's my trade done today. I don't know if I'm going to do any tomorrow with all the news. 9:30 London time, 11:30 London time. There is, I'll just actually take up the news. You can see that there's a bit of news on the British pound. There's job claims in the US dollar. You'll see it move. Building permits. I'm still learning. I'm not sure building permits has a big effect on the movement, but still 3 stars, 3 stars. So, I'll maybe look in the market tomorrow to see if this becomes weak news and this is strong, and we've had a push possibly up into 20's executions off. This is just me going down to the 4 hour. I don't want to see. I don't want to see anything really here broken. The daily might run back up into this for a value gap before plummeting down. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what I'm going to be prepared to wait and see. And if it doesn't make sense, then I'm not going to trade and advise everybody else to do the same. So, without me rambling on anymore, that's what I've seen today. 4 or 5 days trading them up 4.5% roughly. And that's all again based on ACT's. What I understand of ACT's teaching. And it's a lot. So I'm going over all his stuff again. Just while I'm waiting on trade setups, etc. Because it's that vast, you really have to. So anyway, I'll not ramble on. I'll not keep you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Really, really love if somebody would subscribe and give me a bit of what's the word? A bit of motivation to keep making these videos. But I'm going to keep making them anyway because it's a good way for me to look back in the future and see how far I've come. And it actually is a great way to learn yourself and to record what you were thinking and what you seen at the time. Because yes, you can take screenshots and all that, but it just doesn't really appeal to me. I never really looked over them again, and I never really took in what I was writing down at the time, etc. So anyway, there's me rambling on. But listen, folks, have a great evening and happy and safe trading, and best of luck.